Welcome to the T-Pac Arcade. Today's game is Xenon 2 Mega Blast for the Nintendo Game Boy. In this 1992 shoot-'em-up from Mindscape, the Bitmap Brothers, and Teeny Weeny Games, you pilot the Mega Blaster on a time-traveling mission to destroy evil Xenite bombs. Everything about this game is fun to say, and luckily, it's pretty fun to play too. You've got 5 levels of vertically scrolling action, progressing from caverns full of hostile plants and shells, to brick corridors teeming with mollusks and worms, to a mechanical gauntlet lined with all sorts of laser gates and turrets. Plenty of enemies are scattered along the walls to shoot at you, but the most persistent and annoying attackers are the waves of tiny little germ-looking things that fly in from all over the screen doing circles and generally just lingering around to get in your way. Apparently, loitering is not against the Xenite Code of Courtesy, and it's not against yours either, because the most novel aspect of Xenon 2 is that you're given a degree of control over the game's scroll progression. See, most shoot-'em-ups just auto-scroll at a predefined rate, and while that's still the case here, you can actually fly backwards against the bottom of the screen to manually reverse the scroll, which is not only helpful for avoiding projectiles and camping out to disable turrets, but it's completely necessary when you have to backtrack from dead ends and force the screen up and down to take out various parts of the warship bosses, like the mushroom line mass in Stage 2 that spits out snaking orb enemies, the level 4 crystal formation full of creepy heads, and the final boss that looks like some kind of jet-propelled nuclear reactor. Sometimes it feels tedious disabling these tanky bosses, but it's also really satisfying to shoot them down one piece at a time. And the other bosses are fun too, like the big Cyclops shell with the wavy tail, the unamused crab with the wavy claws, and the giant lizard head with the wavy tongue. If you're noticing a theme here, Xenon 2 seems to be really fond of monsters with wavy appendages, which gives off the same weird vibe as wavy inflatable tube guys at car washes: friendly aggression. The power-ups in this game are pretty unique, because while you can collect some of them within the levels themselves, you can also purchase them with credits dropped by enemies, which look less like currency and more like copyright symbols. Don't worry, Mindscape, I'm here to play your video game, not steal your IP. A shop screen appears at the midpoint and endpoint of each stage, where a terrifying alien guy lets you buy and sell upgrades. I never sold anything because pretty much all I picked up was useful, but I did spend a ton of money on health restores and a handful of cannon attachments, namely the missile launcher and double shot. There are plenty of available power-ups that I didn't get a chance to try out, but the coolest part about them is that they actually change how your ship looks once equipped, but not always for the better. By the end of the game, I seemed less like a spacecraft and more like a lethal shower caddy, which brings me to the visuals of this game as a whole. Even if the Mega Blaster itself is a bit underwhelming, the detail in the environments offers a lot of great variety that makes each level feel fresh. I only wish some of the enemy sprites were bigger. I already said they look like germs, and that applies to their scale too. Oh, and I'm genuinely scared of that alien shopkeeper. I would probably enjoy this game at least 75% more if I never had to look at his glistening weird nightmare face. The sound design is incredibly simple here. I mean, the same chiptune plays throughout the whole game, but I didn't really notice because it's actually pretty good, and I appreciate how pronounced the boss damage audio effects are too, even if they're oddly reminiscent of squeaky toys. Who knew nailing a man-eating spider with laser blasts would sound so much like playing with a rubber ducky? Xenon 2 is a fairly easy game, as long as you're smart about which upgrades you purchase, and if you play on easy mode like I did. For a minute I thought the lackluster ending I got was because I played on easy, but apparently every difficulty level ends with the same unenthusiastic "that's all folks" from the alien shopkeeper, followed by a reminder to turn off your TV even though this is a Game Boy game, and a dreadfully long, ear-piercing tone to accompany a blank screen with a single ominous pixel floating in the middle. I thought maybe something was broken, but if you wait long enough, a standard game over screen appears to replace your fear and confusion with plain old disappointment. Could have at least said congratulations or something. In any case, my favorite part of Xenon 2 is how many upgrades you can equip simultaneously. Sure, plenty of shoot-'em-ups offer spread shots, side shots, missiles, and auxiliary cannons, but how many will actually let you use them all at the same time? By the end of the game, my Mega Blaster spacecraft was indistinguishable from a bundle of laser guns duct taped to a firecracker, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But if I could change one thing here, I'd scale up the tiny enemies to be a bit more substantial and easier to aim at. If I'm playing a space shooter, I want to feel like I'm obliterating monsters, not swatting flies. Overall, Xenon 2 impressed me. European-developed shoot-'em-ups usually have a bad reputation as far as quality is concerned. And while I'd agree this game isn't quite as polished as some of its Japanese contemporaries, where else are you going to get duct-tape gun bundles, squeaky toy death rattles, and the most egregious-looking character to ever sell you an extra life?